Dolores Bunch.
Are you in need of a dessert
Can-
for a special event?
Are you want me to talk? Hey, this is Dolores Bunchkeeper. I'm sorry about that. This is another episode of Let's Communicate. And today we are going to talk about some videos that I saw on YouTube. It's amazing what's going on today, and where are the parents at? I'm really appalled to even be discussing this because I would never, ever thought that sexual promiscuity among boys, two boys, we'd ever be talking about that. What am I talking about? Well, Drake came out with a song that talks about boys going down on boys and the size of a penis and how he's made up a rhyme and it's on the radio. I'm very surprised, and I'm just lost for words as to what to say because I never ever thought that we would ever live in a society where we are training our children to be sexually promiscuous with their own sex. When has it become my right to raise my son the way I want to raise my son? When is it my right to raise my child the way I want my child to be raised? I don't want society to raise my child or to let them know that this type of behavior is acceptable. It is not acceptable for my granddaughter to be going down on a girl. That's not acceptable to me. It's not acceptable for my son to be going down on a boy. That's not acceptable to me. When is it my right that I get to say, I do not want my son to do that? Now, everybody does have the right to be who they are. But my son is not doing it. My son is not doing that. I would never have that happen in my household. So that's not something that would be discussed. So we're going to play this piece for you that we found on the internet that there was some young boys that were making up rap from listening to the Drake song. So they come up with their own little pieces on how they're going to suck each other's dick or how they're going to do all this promiscuous behavior to each other and then to other boys. And then they all go to talking and singing about Drake's song. So we're going to play the piece for you. If you would like to call in and be part of the subject, it's after we play it. Oh, I'll give you a chance to listen to the song first. So or whatever we want to call that. So I'm going to let. Are we ready? It is very graphic, by the way. So this show is going to be a little bit more graphic than things that we've done in the past. But I think that this is a topic that we really, really need to discuss. So please listen carefully, and then listen because this is our youth. These boys are between the ages of 12 and 15. So please listen to this. Thanks.
We're all about to go down line. I'm saying my chorus. Running to all the dicks, like Forrest. I hate niggas, that's not true. Ask me what block I live on, I sit on your dick between your balls. Okay, I said I'm sucking your dick, your balls hit my face like Kobe. Yo, nigga, I be sucking your dick, y'all don't even know me. Yo, I said I'm sucking on your dick. In prison, I'm the warden. You already know my legs open faster than Jordan. Sucking on the dick fast, I never do it slow. Everybody know because my job is to blow, and my blows is the job. Like I'm sucking on your knob, and I'm sucking on your cock. It's like corn on the cob. Can you hold the camera? I said, look.
Listen. It's Keith Tuffin, and my neck shit crazy. I suck your dick, then I really call KD. But lately, I've been sucking dick, and y'all want to smell? Well, fuck it, though. I'ma really let that smell.
Look. My man said the dopest donuts. I said I'm sucking on 2 4s, cause you can call me Kobe. Sucking the no hair on my head like Ginobili, cause I'm railing on your dick, man. Something like Moby.
Listen.
Let me speak, niggas. I open them doors. This nigga dick mad long, like an extension cord.
Ooh. Over, y'all.
And look.
You see me? Now you don't see me, cause when I go down, y'all don't want to see me, cause I shoot like Black Ops and I scope like
TV. Come back, nigga. Look. And look, Drake voice. Started from the dick, now I'm here.
Started from the dick, now I'm sucking on your pubic hair. Started from the dick, now I'm here.
don't feel like I suck a fat dick, then I grab his nutsack. Yo, Addis, y'all. Open down your chillin', nigga. Have me on the head honcho. You already know I like cameraman, ASAP shooter. Hey, 10, you heard? Have me, let's see you watch your brain.
So you've heard it. I'm just speechless to say what my feelings are about that. I do have a guest in the studio, and then I do have a guest that's coming on the phone to talk about this piece that we just heard. In the studio with me, I've had him in the studio with me before, is Krishna Muhammad. He does some outreach with children, and he's worked with children to try to get them on the right path, and done some entrepreneurship with them. I let him listen to the piece before we started the show, and he's just appalled as well as I am. So let's get started with the conversation. Well, what is your thoughts? What's your thoughts?
It's embarrassing when you see the pictures, when you hear the words. They can mimic. They can mimic what they hear in terms of memorizing the song or pieces of the song. But when you put them in the classroom, they have problems.
Right.
They can't read. They can't write. They can't spell. They come to school late. It's embarrassing, and that's where the society is heading, Miss Kimmer. That's where it's heading.
Now, as a man, how and what would you say to these kids as a man?
They're a product of the environment. They're a product from the home environment. They're a product of the school environment. They're a product of the community at large. And I used to always say this, and we talk a lot. We talk a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's just an extension of the morality of the community as a whole. Mm-hmm. Everything has been commercialized. Everything is about money. This piece here can advertise them to get a record deal. Everything is, Facebook has a two-headed sword, kind of, sort of, and it can work for the good and it can work for the bad. So,
but is the money that they would make? They're talking about something is it morally correct? Is it morally correct? Is Lula on? Hey, Lula, can you hear me?
Hi, you hear me?
Yeah. This is Lula, and Lula is from Youth Enhancement Services. She's also been on the show before, and she has also listened to the piece that we're discussing today. Lula, what do you think about this piece?
Well, first we have to understand that it's really a failure at the first level, and I always get back to the parents. And the brother that's on the show, he is really correct. They are mimicking, what they see in their communities. And we have a group of young men out here who feel hopeless. They feel downtrodden. And they're doing all kinds of just aberrant things to get attention. And the fact that they feel that Drake and those people are their heroes shows that there is a major, major failure in the communities where they come from, but most importantly, in the home. They do not have any role models at home. If they did, this would not even be a topic. But what we have to do in our community is we have to boycott people like Drake and those people with those very sick and debasing messages that our young people are getting a hold to. We have to, just as those young women at Spelman went off on that rapper. And yeah, remember that? Those are the things. We have to find the courage, and that's what it takes. it takes courage to start speaking out against the sickness that is manifesting itself within our community. And we are too quiet. We have been quiet for far too long. We need to see who is, is Drake getting any commercial endorsement? And if he is, then we need to stop buying from those folks. We need to see what lights Drake up. And not just Drake, because he's not the only one. It was because we had a conscience that, stopped the Montgomery bus boycott from putting that black in the back of the bus. It was because we had a conscience and courage. I always have to mention courage, that those things were brought to the forefront and they were stopped. But what are we willing to give up as consumers? What are we willing to give up to say that we've had enough? We're tired of the poison that's destroying the lives of our children.
Right. I agree with you. What do you think, Muhammad?
You're gonna eventually go back to the core. You got to start from the core. And when you take prayer out of school, I'm always go back to that. But you allow the Pledge of Allegiance to remain.
Right. I'm
gonna take prayer out. Now I'm a Muslim. You got Christians, you got Jews. I never had a problem with a minute of silence.
Right.
Just start. This is what you do. Words make people, and people become products of word. What we do, everything that we do in the institution, the learning institution, is teaching our children.
Right.
So what better way to start your day off with a silence, a minute or two of silence? It doesn't offend any major religions.
Right.
Okay. But it gives reverence to the one who created everything, and now you start your day off.
Right.
So now when you take that out, but you leave the Pledge of Allegiance in, and then all of a sudden it's everything that we do, sisters and brothers, everything that we do is a spiritual base. I don't care how you look at it. It's either you're going to do wrong or you're going to do right. Everything that you do is a spiritual base. And when you approve or bring about homosexuality, you open up this floodgate of
so many different behaviors,
so many other evils that's going to come as a result from that. But we stand by. Well, watch what you say. Don't say this. Don't say that. If you do this, you're going to go to jail.
Right.
See, sometimes we're going to have to be willing to. What are we willing to fight and die for? To a point where do you mind going to jail if it's going to save your child?
Right.
No. We have to do what's necessary, right and necessary to save our children. And this society is vicious. Yes, ma'am.
It's very vicious, but I don't think it's necessarily, having a moment of silence at school that's going to be the answer when you do not have an hour of prayer or whatever at home.
Right.
We keep trying to put everything on the school system, and I am just not that person. We have to take everything back to where it started, and that's in the home. If they don't have spiritual families, and I'm not espousing one religion over the other, and if we don't have spiritual families, then we don't have whole children.
Yeah. I just was appalled the whole day yesterday because this is not the only image that I saw. I also saw a young lady blowing crack smoke in a 6-month-old's face. Who does these things? When are we as a society going to come and take responsibility and say, what are you doing to your child? There was another one.
Dolores, we talk often about the mental health element in our communities.
But if this is out in the open, Lula, I mean,
it's not being addressed.
Yeah.
Anyone that would do something like that is mentally ill.
I mean, there was another one, Lula. The baby looked like he was about 4 or 5 months old. The woman was beating him with a pillow. Then she was smacking the baby. Then she was pinching the baby. And the baby was helpless. All he kept doing was crying. I mean, she went on with this behavior for about 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And
but
people were
whoever is witnessing that,
right.
It's for them to call the police and for Child Protective Services to get involved. As I've mentioned, many times on my show, is just because you incubated some some eggs or an egg for 9 months, or you shot some sperm into a hole does not make you a parent.
Right.
It doesn't. And just because, you'll have custody of this child because no one has spoken up to protect this child and get this child away from you, which we have to do. Just because someone had a child does not make them worthy of being a parent.
I understand what you're saying. Okay, so now we have this. We know this is a problem in our society. What do you think the steps are that we can start implementing to get these children back? I mean, let's just talk about the song. Let's just talk about the kids who are singing the song. Are they too far gone? Have we missed a generation, Lula, do you think?
We got so comfortable with saying we've lost 2-3 generations. And it came out of our mouths as though we were saying, pass the salt, pass the pepper. We got so used to this, talking about the problem and not addressing it on a whole scale level. And when I say whole scale, I'm talking about why aren't we taking on not just the parents, but those government entities who are supposed to be stepping in and looking out for the best interests of children. We're not taking on. We will watch government misspend dollar after dollar after dollar, and we don't say anything except amongst ourselves. We allow these elected officials who really shouldn't even be dog kicked and wouldn't be in other places, but we allow this. We allow things on a large-scale level to keep getting away from us, and that's why we have the challenges in our community that we do.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you on that. As a grassroots organizer and as a grassroots worker, we've talked about President Obama's initiative. We can't even get to his initiative and start working on that because I didn't even realize we had all these other subliminal issues going on. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, how can we kind of like bridge that gap? Because I don't even think he thought that.
Well, are they really subliminal?
They're subliminal. That's right.
Is the true question is, are they really? Because I think this stuff is in your face. It's
right.
In our faces stuff. There is nothing secretive about this. It's what we are willing to chew and swallow.
Yes.
And we have been doing this forever, talking about it without doing anything about the problems that afflict. And it's truly afflictions that, coming into our communities.
Right.
When the gangster rap and all of those things, people selling drugs in our community, and we look the other way. When young girls who are under the age 18 are on the polls, they're just conversation pieces in the community, and no one is really taking on the sickness that's in our community.
My point about it being subliminal is that we actually thought that we were making some headway by addressing the education issue, but these other pieces that are they definitely need to be addressed first. I mean,
they have to be. We cannot keep saying we have to address education without parental accountability. That is the missing piece in all of this. A young man or a young woman, they need to understand that when you make a child, that you just don't go throwing them in the dumpster or putting them off on other people and then you go make some more. There has to be accountability.
Right.
And
we're not holding them accountable, and we're not holding them to a level of at least. We're not saying this is at least.
So we are giving them incentives. You're somewhere paying $4 rent, and you have Medicaid, you have, food stamps, you have, we get up, Dolores, you and I, we work 7 days a week. Mm-hmm. No one is paying our rent.
Right.
No one is running up to us saying, here's all this free stuff, just keep doing what you're doing. That's the subliminal message, is keep doing what you're doing and destroying yourselves, because many of these children that these folks have, they either end up one or two ways. They end up dead, or they end up recycled in a system that destroys them.
We have talked about a number of different components that we have to address. I didn't even realize this was of the magnitude that it is. It is. It's just even hard to fathom or to organize around. I mean, the direction that I was going in, I don't even know. I don't even know if I'm going in the right direction anymore to actually start working on the president's initiative as even to another level, because we have so many other problems that need to be addressed, and these are definitely mental health issues. Definitely.
Remember what I said to you before. We have to really kind of stay in our lane, because it can be overwhelming if we're trying to, as they say, eat the elephant all at once. And I don't like that analogy, because I would never eat an elephant, but you know what I mean. But it's so massive. It is absolutely so massive. So what we do at our agency is we stay in the education and the empowerment lane through education and character development, life skills. We stay in that lane, and we also work with the demographic that's 16 to 24 years of age. I can't work with grown folks that are 30 and 40 and 50 and still out here doing the same thing, nor can I, work with the little ones. That's someone else's lane. So you have to target what your lane is and work from there, or the massiveness of all of this will render you at some point hopeless and jaded.
Yeah, I agree with you there. So,
well, let me ask you this. Let me ask you a question there. How do you bridge education and entrepreneurship? How do you bridge that gap? Bring that gap together?
What happened when they took the what do they call them? The skilled trades out of the high school.
Oh yeah, the technical.
They really screwed that up. That really started young people to thinking about entrepreneurial programs. I remember it was in the schools when I was growing up.
Right. You're talking about cosmetology. You're talking about mechanic.
I'm talking about what we do now to bridge the gap now. I know how it used to be, but I'm talking about what do we have to do? You in education. I'm in entrepreneurship. How do we merge those two entities and incorporate it where I can bring it to your classroom setting, or you bring the education side to my entrepreneurship programs. You know what I'm saying?
I talk to our young people about entrepreneurship, because I am an entrepreneur. Even though I started my nonprofit 24 years ago, I also started a trucking business to fund my nonprofit when no one really wanted to give me money to fund initiatives for predominantly young black males who had dropped out of school. So I started a trucking business, didn't know anything about trucking, and did that for probably about 10, 12 years. So I talk to them about that as an alternative and not always running to work for someone else.
It's very hard. I see what you're talking about. How do we bridge the gap between entrepreneurship?
Right, because we never stop education. Education is 24/7.
Yeah.
Right.
So
but,
I think
what we have to do is talk about this constantly, entrepreneurship, and how do you go about? How do you start? You might start with just selling something, very basic. What is it that your community needs? Whether it's rubber bands or, just whatever, whatever someone needs.
But what they see, they don't even consider the grocer to be an entrepreneur. They consider him to be a loser. They don't consider the guy who has the restaurant to be an entrepreneur. They consider him a loser. You couldn't find anything else to do, so this is what you're doing with your life. But they consider the person who's selling crack and all of that stuff to be their hero.
Dealer.
Yeah, because he's got a car. He's the one that looks flashy.
But you know why? Because those are the folks that are in their faces all the time. So we need to be in their faces all the time.
Well,
You know,
one of the things,
asking business people to let these kids shadow them.
shadow.
You know.
Yeah, the Department of Human Services, they do have a shadowing program this summer. They were expecting tenfold the kids to sign up for that program. They're going to get paid. The kids are going to get paid to shadow an entrepreneur. And do you know that there were only, out of the whole state of Georgia, less than 400 or 500 kids signed up?
Oh, I believe it.
It's absolutely
I believe it.
When we had the CATS program when I was younger, I wished I could get a job.
Now, what's
We have to recognize the poisoning of our young men and our young women from the home. And when you go home with some of these kids and you talk to the parents or the folks who brought them into the world, and you listen to the craziness coming out of some of their mouths, and you see why the kids are where they are. And it has been allowed to fester for generations.
Right. I guess the core problem is we as a society, we really can't go into the households, each individual households.
No.
And
so we have to teach it in elementary. There's nothing wrong with having an entrepreneurial program in elementary school to start changing the mindset of young people.
There you go.
Right. To actually start training them at a younger age.
It has to be. When they go into elementary school, I have never seen a little person that did not go in excited about learning.
Right.
By the time they get to third grade, somehow that's been killed. And we're talking about our young people being retained and already building prison cells for them. So we have to introduce them to entrepreneurship, even if it's the lemonade stand or something very simplistic, and show them how, okay, you see, you took $5, you bought some lemon, a little sugar, you got the water, and look, you've made $20 from this.
Right.
So that'll start them thinking, but we have to do it very young.
Yes. Yeah. So now we come back 360 degrees to this topic of this was what was seen on the YouTube. That's this some person put this video up about it. If this is happening in just among these boys, we can assume that it's happening all over the United States because Drake's song is being heard all over the United States. How when society says it's okay to be gay, but you're trying to teach your child something different, and now they're singing this song like it's nothing. How do we get them back, Lula? How do we stop this behavior? We can't, when you can't say, oh well, you're a gay hater if you say anything against it.
Well, and I think too, in terms of sexuality, there are so many things that is not understood. Because, there are little children who are gay, and I don't even know in terms of, how do we explain that? I don't think that a child decides to wake up one day and say that, oh, I'm gay. And then there are some people that I believe it's a matter of them, trying different things. But what we have to talk about more so than sexual orientation is our entire preoccupation with sex.
Yes.
And children and sex. That, to me, is more important when you're talking about it. It's really not about young men talking about, sucking each other's penises. It's not about, it's their entire preoccupation with sex. And they're fed that, whether it's a Drake song or whether it's the way you buy a car, with the woman laid over the car or something like that. Now, those are subliminal messages that are used to pull our children in. It's culture. We need to, more than talk about orientation, is our culture of sex and violence, our culture of hating women, and little girls and the things that happen to them, the things that happen to little boys. There are things we don't talk about in the community, and I know expressly in the black community, of when Uncle so-and-so touches the children inappropriately. There are so many different things, many conversations we have to have.
Yes, exactly. So what's your thoughts, Muhammad?
Once again, I think it's a moral issue. It's a moral issue. And it has to be addressed, like the sister said, it has to start from the core, which is your home environment.
So now, do you think that we're so far away from having a morality, a moral system?
Oh,
Is anything goes, Lula? What do you think? Do you think that we're allowed to teach the morality in school?
Well, I don't
I mean,
want,
citizenship is not necessarily morality. I know they teach citizenship.
but let me tell you, I would not want everybody teaching my child their version of morality. I would not.
Yeah, but
teaching
these
it
kids, these kids, and like in living in the hotel, I always go back to them because that's kind of like the worst case scenario that I know.
But
Go ahead.
You know, it's being taught to your child now because the teacher, you have no idea what religious belief that the teacher has. That's not-
the religion. It's really what is right and what is wrong.
No, but I'm
Yeah, I know you're bringing it back to religion, but
Well,
but it is
that's your
you know.
you have no idea, but the persuasion that the instructor has on the child based upon their own individual belief.
That's
Even in learning, you don't know, you don't question that. You just,
yeah, but I mean, in morality, it's what is acceptable by society, but what more importantly, what is accepted in the household. If anything goes in the household, that you're pretty much. I mean, why are we're being dictated to by parents who don't take care of their own home environments.
Mm-hmm.
Their behavior of their children is manifesting in the school because that's the behavior that they see at home.
I agree with you 100%. I've seen it this past weekend, last weekend. Video game parents. I mean, spending time with his children, but the video game was so vicious and violent.
Mm.
You know,
And it's getting to be more realistic. Have you noticed that? They
He's
look.
playing video game with his son,
Mm-hmm.
which is commendable on his part. But the type of video that he's playing with his child is bloody, knives, killing.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Yes.
And this is a child that don't know that this is not reality.
Right. That's right.
See, because he's undeveloped. So
Someone who would allow that, there's something wrong with their parenting skills anyway.
Right. But that again comes back to the person who was blowing crack in the baby's face.
Exactly.
And that the other person was holding a baby. Like, I mean, it's just in most of these scenarios, we're talking about a group of people. We're not just talking about one person making a decision, which means that the group accepts that behavior. That's scary.
Mm-hmm.
What so
But we've accepted so much, Dolores.
yeah.
We've accepted this maltreatment of our children on so many levels. We sat around, and I think I shared with you, I was at a luncheon,
Mm-hmm.
and the guy who was the keynote speaker and some, attorney appointed by the president was up there rattling off numbers and just talking about how dismal things were. And it dawned on me that this happened on our watch. All of these bad numbers, everything that you're saying, Mr. Keynote Speaker, it happened on your watch, happened on my watch. Where we are now with these children, that we allowed them to go into juvenile justice systems and return over and over again. We didn't hold juvenile court accountable. We did not hold the Department of Juvenile Justice accountable. We are not holding anybody accountable. We'll sit around and talk about how bad things are. We need to know, okay, if you got a $300 million budget and you are supposed to be rehabilitating children and keeping the public safe too, then you're failing. Because the public is not safe if the recidivism rate is 65%. Then who are we going to call out?
And who is going to take care of the problem?
Yeah, who's going to take care of the problem? All we're doing is recycling.
And see, that's where I believe that they should hold the parents more accountable. I know that they talked about arresting parents and all, but I believe that they should actually give them a sentence as well as give their child a sentence. I bet you if we started doing that, the parents would start taking a better role instead of just doing contempt of court and those kind of things where they just do 30 days in jail. No, if my child went to jail for 2 years, I got to go to jail for 2 years.
Well, we know that that's not going to happen, but what
I
we
know.
need to make certain of is when children are born, we need to know who the mother and the father is. Too often, this rests on the shoulders of the mother.
Yeah.
So much is put on. When the child goes there, everybody says the parent, but they're really talking about the mother because of the disproportionate numbers of black women raising children alone.
Right. That's why I wanted to get Muhammad's, from a male perspective, on what he thinks that was one of the biggest problems. I mean, you and I as women can say, that there are no role models in the household as a man. But men may have a different aspect of that if they are in the household, if they're not in the household. What do you think about that, Muhammad? Do you think that it's very important for the male to be in the household? How would they be in the child's life, or what do you think?
I think just the male image is important. I mean, just being there as a dad, just being there. It may not be the best dad in the world, but that image, especially if you're talking about young boys, because the nature of that son is trying to find its nature.
Trying to find how to be a man.
How to be a man. That has nothing to do with like mom, like dad. It's that nature that's trying to gravitate toward that nature that he can identify with. Likewise for a young lady. Mm-hmm. Now when you take the man out the house, that nature still is trying to find itself. Mm-hmm. So it's gonna find itself either in something in that home or a group of women.
Right. Do you think that the
Well, wait, Dolores, before you go on. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't agree with everything he just said.
Okay,
because
go ahead.
just to have the image of a man, just to have him there, he might be there beating up mama. I don't believe that just to have anything there, it is sufficient. We have to have quality parents in the lives of these young people, not images.
Right. We're on the same page. We're on the same page. It's for example, I give an example.
Now, do you think? Oh, we got to go to break. We got to take a break. Lula, hold on. We're just going to take a short break, and we'll be right back with Let's Communicate.
Are you in need of a dessert for a special event? Maybe a custom birthday cake. I know, it's your wedding day and you want a cake that will stimulate your taste buds and capture and create the memories for that special day. Well, Sweet Destination should be your choice. Let master sweet designer Montevia Gamble create a unique and delicious cake for your special occasion. But that's not all. Sweet Destination also creates other desserts, from cheesecakes, homemade fudge, brownies, cookies, pies, cake pops, cupcakes, and just about anything that you can think of. So check them out at sweetdestinations.com or on Facebook under Sweet Destinations. Remember, the greatest conversations take place on the road to the sweetest destinations of the human mind. So let's do more than business. Let's make memorable moments. We are Sweet Destinations. Tap Out Studios of Hollywood is one of Atlanta's newest visual and performing arts centers designed for you to perfect your creativity. Our 3,000 square foot event space includes a full bar, VIP section, movie screen, and 2 stages. Take advantage of our Spring Fling package deal for new and existing clients. Save over 40% when you rent our venue for $700 for events with more than 100 people. For booking information, contact Kendra at 404-578-1454. Located less than a half a mile off of I-20 off Fulton Industrial, we are Tap Out Studios of Hollywood, 620 Interchange Drive. Tap Out Studios of Hollywood, inspiring creativity, changing lives, and making dreams come true.
Everyone needs a way to add gold to their financial portfolio. Carrot Bars International makes gold affordable to the masses with the freegoldplan.com. Get gold in 24-karat 999.9% pure gold bullion in small, affordable weights. Save your money in gold and even get paid to share with others how to do the same. No broker fees, no setup fees, and with referrals, your gold can be free. Go to thefreegoldplan.com. That's thefreegoldplan.com now.
Oh, this has been a day I want to forget. From not finding my keys, to running late for my big meeting, then having the client cancel the meeting, to my boss wanting to revamp the entire proposal this weekend. This is really a day for a hot tub and a big glass of my Tranquility wine.
The skilled winemakers of Countryside Vineyards craft quality muscadine grapes into fine wine. Known for their distinctive flavors and characters, these hybrid southern grapes create a sweet class of robust wine. So the next time you're out, ask for Tranquility Wines or order yours online today by visiting them at floridavineyard.com.
Now this is just what I needed. Tranquility Wine. Why can't everything be this relaxing?
Tranquility Wines, for those times when nothing else matters. Please enjoy responsibly, and remember, you must be 21 years old to drink.
Lisa, you've been staring at that computer screen for 30 minutes. What's wrong?
Oh, it's my new marketing campaign. I want to tell people how great my business is, but I don't know what to say. I need copy for the website, newsletters, and brochure, and I'm drawing a blank. Writing just isn't my thing.
My boss had the same problem, and he called Put It in Writing Professional Writing Service.
Put it in writing? What's that?
It's a business just for people who need copywriting, but don't have the budget for the big marketing and PR firms. They help my company tell everyone about the great products and services we offer through our website. And when my cousin recorded his CD, Put It in Writing wrote his bio and press release. They even do resumes.
That's good to know, because I'll be looking for a job if this business doesn't take off.
Don't worry. Call the professionals at Put It in Writing at 901-359-6629 and check out the website at putitinwriting2.com. That's putitinwriting, the numeral 2.com.
We're back with Let's Communicate, and I have my guest in the studio, Krishna Muhammad. Say hello.
Hello.
And I also have Lula Gilliam, and she works at, she's the founder of Youth Enhancement Services. Say hey, Lula.
Hey.
Hello there.
So, Lula, now, when we went to break, we weren't able to hear you, so Muhammad was saying, say that point that you made when we were talking on the break, because I thought it was valid.
I think everything in this society is physical. Image makes a lot, and Ms. Lula, I agree with you in terms of it's the contents of the father being at home, but just the father being at home makes a big difference, because that soul is trying to gravitate toward it's trying to find himself or herself in that environment. Okay, and then we talked about it when we was off air about President Obama. You know, we may not agree to
have done everything that he has done has been successful, or that he may have done everything as the best president, but that he is a good role model. He is trying to be a good role model for African American boys. Would you agree with that?
Yes. I had a call coming in. I was trying to eliminate so that I could pay attention. You referred to President Obama
as being a good role model to emulate.
But that's true. But it's so different from being in
the
home.
House, mm-hmm.
in your home, somebody you see every day. Because we try to tell people, when you go out and vote, you vote in national elections, but what affects you every day will be local politics, will be that commissioner or that city council, and not, President Obama, yes, what he's doing, some things affect us, but not that everyday stuff.
I know what you're
Right,
saying.
but when you bring it
As
down, when you
in
bring
with
it
the
down,
home.
yeah, but when you bring it down to the least common denominator in terms of the family, the image itself. I mean, I think we're on the same page. Obama I'm 56 years old, and I never could have imagined in my day and time that I would be able to witness an African American president, and then come back and then do it for a second term. That gave me, and so if it affected me at this age, I'm looking at the image that he represents, how now African American kids or people of color can look at that and aspire to be. You mean to tell me in America you got a black president? Right. And all of a sudden, within 9 months, you remember this now, within 9 months of him being in his first term, he won the Nobel Peace Prize. Okay? And then you had opposition in this country, not around the world, but in this country that they don't think that he should have gotten that based upon the length of time that he'd been in the office. So the image makes a big difference. It may not be you hope and pray that it's the best image in terms of the right and wrong and in terms of his leadership, but now when you take that and you move it to the home, you want the best dad, you want the best of dads. But even with the best of dads, it doesn't mean that the child is going to
come out to be perfect.
Well, I have to, as I say, keep moving it back to the home, because even though, President Obama and all of his accomplishments, especially in his first term, you would think those young black men in Chicago, where he hails from, wouldn't have been killing each other in record numbers if they had been looking at him as a role model. So that was not in place. We have to look at the home, because President Obama in D.C., and he's been doing some really great things, but our young men, who are, many of whom in our communities have become predators, we have to look at what can we do to change that. And we have a lot of wonderful young men that are doing what they should be doing, but we have far too many who are not. And they're not looking at a President Obama as a leader. They're looking at Drake.
Right. That's right. That's exactly right. So getting them connected to the community, getting them connected to, if they are not college-bound or college-bound material, getting them connected to technical colleges. See, the problem is that there's no assessment process in the high school to see, okay, what track you should be on. Everyone, you're just forced to go to college, be it a technical college.
But you know why, right?
No, tell me.
You had all your Negro leaders during the 80s and 90s yelling about you're putting our kids on track. And what I said to them, and most of them really, who are head of these so-called esteemed organizations, really do not have a clue as to what to do out here in the community. They keep getting these positions, these titles, because it's, quote, their time. They've waited their turn, and now it's their time, whether they're running for mayor or president of the NAACP or whatever. It doesn't mean that they are the most fit for the job. They have no clue. I would rather have a whole bunch of folks who are HVAC masters and brick masons and all of that than to have these young boys out here and young ladies out here on the street selling crack, selling their bodies, and selling whatever that's illegal.
So you're saying
but our folks kept talking about you're tracking if you were putting someone in a technical situation, as opposed to believing falsely that everyone was going to a 4-year college.
So even if the student demonstrated that they were not college-bound material and that they would be better off doing a trade, you're saying that they're saying that they're still tracking. That's what you're
yeah.
That is amazing. That is amazing. So
but that's why we've gotten so behind. We used to be those brick masons.
Right.
And we used to build, in terms of construction. We used to be those people, but we aren't any longer.
Because there's no opportunities.
I just stopped at the gas station down on Ponce and Cortland and I was headed back to my office this morning. And you're familiar with that Pine Street in Cortland where all those homeless folks gather.
Right.
And there were probably a couple of hundred of them already out there this morning trying to stand in a line to get whatever will be handed to them, whether it's bread, soup. That's what we have, resorted to in our community. Because these young people, if they live long enough, they grow up. And if they grow up unskilled and uneducated, this is what's going to happen to them.
Mm-hmm.
And this is within a stone's throw of our capital here in Atlanta, of City Hall, where the mayor and his minions are. But we have, right here on Boulevard, the poorest area in the Southeast. The home, the birthplace of Dr. King, right there on Boulevard.
Right. You're right.
But we're not having the real conversations.
No,
it's
we're
not really about some little boys.
Right. That's what I was
talking about
say.
Drake.
That's what I was saying.
And
that
Drake is living large. He's going to make a lot of money off of that.
Oh, yeah.
We're just not having the right conversations that would turn what we're experiencing upside down and inside out and do something about it.
Well,
we
it's
keep
systemic.
electing fools to office,
Yeah.
so we get foolish policies.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know that it's systemic. That's what I was telling Commissioner Eves. It is a systemic problem that we have. You're trying to address something with a Band-Aid. You're hemorrhaging from, you have a brain hemorrhage.
It's a cannon wound. They're putting a Band-Aid on a cannon wound.
Right, exactly.
And what I said before, because I've decided to write President Obama a letter. We keep, and in this letter I said, we keep putting the fox in front of the chicken coop, and we wonder why all the chickens are dying. It's stupid.
Yes.
We keep over and over and over again doing the stupid stuff.
Exactly.
So is it stupid or they just don't care? Because these are political
Well,
people.
it's a combination, to be honest with you, because what we do is we elect self-serving people, and we wonder why there is nothing left for the people.
Well, one of the things that I recognize, and I'll use the comparison of President Obama to President Carter. Since I work for both of them, I can say to you that President Carter knew what a fox looked like, and I don't think that President Obama knew what a fox looked like. So he kind of let a lot of foxes into his hen house, and that's some of the problems that were created in his first term. And I truly look at that, and I say that is one of the problems that was created.
What happened to President Obama, like I said, he did a lot of great things, and he's still doing it, is you had people like Tavis Smiley and Cornel West out there undermining him every chance they got. Here these Negroes were hollering. They were doing a poverty tour. Do you think we just got poor when President Obama came into the office? But we allowed that foolishness to keep going in the community. We didn't check them. They were pissed because they didn't get invited to a White House dinner or some foolishness.
That's the problem.
And we allow people in the community to, try and just eradicate or get rid of anything that the president does that's good. One of the things he did is with the student loans. Students are now getting more money, and he took the loans out of the hands of those financial institutions that were ripping the students off. That's major. Now all we have to do is get the kids to go to college or go to the technical schools.
But that's
huge.
But it stems back to the systemic plan of what has happened to the black race, to the black community. I mean, we can both agree that this is an actual. This has been. I mean, we're talking about. You're going to address him about the poverty issues when we know that President Kennedy was fighting war on poverty. And
Johnson, we've always fought war on poverty. Right. If you don't believe it, look at the Monahan report.
Exactly.
If you believe that this is a new phenomenon, then go back several decades.
Right. And so
We have been stepping on our own feet for a long time and lying about it.
exactly. So now you're gonna blame poverty on the black president when it's
Exactly.
already, exactly. It's been addressed
So
many
all
times.
of this, all the things that you're pointing out with these young men that you were, playing their recording at the top of the show, all of these things, dates back to when we sat on our asses and didn't do anything in our community when we saw this sickness first manifest.
We got too comfortable. It wasn't in our community. It was in impoverished areas, so it wasn't affecting us. But when it comes to affect us, that's when we take stand. Do you agree?
Well, yeah, when we got real comfortable is when we could go buy the home in the white neighborhood. We could go buy the car that, and we had always held up white people as being, the folks we wanted to be like. That we forgot about folks in the community. Our idea of making it, and it still is, like my neighbors, they feel like when they make it, then they go buy a house in Fayetteville. It's what we have decided is the standard, rather than saying, okay, let's all of us come up together.
It's always us looking for the utopia, like like the Dubai, everyone moving to Dubai. It's like this utopia in the middle of the ocean. Everyone's looking for.
We've always been a people that's easily led. If someone comes in the poor community, just like with Nike. Whoever heard that Nike was going to have all these different color shoes, and then tennis shoes would one day be $200 and $300 a pair? Who would have thought that?
$700. Jeans, $700.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Well, I don't pay any of that. So,
right.
Anything that they want to make a lot of money, they market in poor communities, and then poor kids start killing each other for it. Until we can start addressing that mindset and show young people how to be defined, self-defined, and not buy some commercial product and not buy their body parts, then we're going to still be having this conversation decades later.
I agree with you. I agree.
I have to get off of here, but it's been great talking to you all, and I look forward to next week.
Great. Well, that was Lula's parting words. Now, what are your parting words, Muhammad?
In the words of Spike Lee, it continues.
Well, that has been another episode of Let's Communicate, and as always, imparting. The only way things will change is if we get involved in our community and make the changes we seek. Until next week, this has been Dolores Bunch-Keemer.